Hi, I'm Joanne Wright Callender, the author of the Happy Little Garbage Truck picture book and educational program. Sorry, I had to turn off my air. It's pretty warm today. If you're experiencing some summer flushing times of the pores like I am, I needed some extra air. But today I'm back just for a real brief summary of some of the articles that I said that I was going to bring to the conversation this time as we were looking at the effects of COVID-19 on the children who were, as one study said, furloughed from school. And this was a real sensitive issue for me because when I first experienced as you all did, the news that schools were going to be closed due to the COVID-19 virus, I just kept thinking about, "Oh, what are my former students in special ed going to do?" Because a lot of my students were having the hardest time focusing when in the classroom. And I just was thinking about how much being in the home environment, looking at teachers on a screen, I just said, I don't know if that's going to work very well, which is why I started doing this channel, because I kept thinking of different things that I had done as a teacher for 27 years that I thought might help educators and parents alike. So that's kind of why this channel evolved. And now that we're back in school, I've been presented with the fact, one friend who's in school is, I'm retired right now, and I'm still working as a virtual inclusion consultant to several schools. But one friend who was actually in multiple locations said that consistently she was finding that teachers were having difficulty with dysregulation in students, especially the younger children. And so she gave me a couple of articles that I, read pretty extensively, and a couple new ones that I'm going to introduce this week. But Miss Kelly Brouse had brought up the important fact that usually when you have an environment where a child has unfamiliar setting, unsettling situation, and unpredictable events, it's going to cause behavioral changes. But the one thing she brought up was that this was something that was noticed prior to the COVID-19 lockdowns. And I found an article that went back to 2003 to confirm that, and it's in my description box. But this article was, it talked about what exclusion does to an already vulnerable individual. And it was looking at children and the vulnerability that they spoke about. I'm trying to pull up the article now. Included what they called anxious exclusion, anxious solitude, sorry. And this was a child who had already some individual vulnerability, and it was linked to, with anxious solitude linked with exclusion, it caused more likely in students depression. In the same article, saw that children who had this anxious solitude tendency, who were not excluded, did not develop depression as rapidly as those who had the two things happening simultaneously or close to each other. And then another article that I found was talking about how the pandemic set back social and emotional growth in children, this time in England. An article stated that a study was done, and this time with 6,000 parents. The other study that I just mentioned was 388 students in 2003. This one was recently done with 6,000 parents weighing in on how the COVID lockdown had impacted their children. I'm going to go into this more in detail the next time we speak, but just to let you know, it wasn't just the children with an uncertain financial background that some had, but it was all children. across financial, um, all financial groups. All of the parents noticed that their students were having difficulty. Let's see if I could find the it wasn't social element, but it caused a lack of, they said children lived through many changes during these years: school closures, lack of contact with friends and families, a potentially devastating severe illness, or death among loved ones. So these things caused that unsettling and environment for children. So I'm going to go into more detail next time. Sorry, I just got a chance to introduce it, but I did include the articles so you could take a look at them. And then when we meet again, I'll go into a little bit more detail as to how these studies came to pretty much the same conclusion. So hate to leave you with a cliffhanger, but we'll talk later, and I definitely will get back because these were fascinating to me, and I thought we all should know some of the details so that we can mitigate this should we ever have any situation like that come up again, but more importantly, to help those children who are still having difficulty coming back to school. So thank you so much. Please subscribe, please share, and we'll talk next time very soon. Bye-bye.